Russia has annexed Crimea, or the Crimea, as everybody is saying, like the Ukraine. I don't know why we need that prefix in front of it, but that's what people do. Now, now, there's several issues here. One, why do they want to annex Crimea? I think it's because Putin wants the Soviet Union back. He'll never get it back fully, but he wants to regain land lost. So does it stop in Crimea, or does it stop in eastern Ukraine? We won't know. Another question is, what can the outside world do? The answer is not a lot. The reason for this is because Russia supplies the EU with a lot of its oil. For example, the huge bulk of oil Germany uses is imported from Russia, and we all know Germany is the figurehead of the EU. So all the sanctions that we're talking about don't mean anything. I mean, a few visas, you can't go to here, you can't go there, a few asset freezes, but ultimately it won't stop Putin. This is reminiscent of Hitler when he annexed part of Czechoslovakia and then took the whole country, and the pretext was to protect German citizens living there, and that was the pretext that Vladimir Putin used. There won't be any military action because of the nuclear deterrent, and even without a nuclear deterrent, Russia has too big of an army. With the global rise of China, it will be better to keep Russia as an ally. When Ukraine gave up its nuclear facilities, e.g. nuclear weapons, its arsenal, in 1994, several countries, including the United States of America, Britain, France and Russia, all voted to protect Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Now, Russia claims that it's not breaking its territorial sovereignty because there was effectively a coup and the government is illegitimate and doesn't represent the people, therefore it's not invading on their sovereignty. And there was a referendum which the vast majority of Crimeans voted to join Russia. It was boycotted by the Tatars. I don't know if I pronounced that wrong or right. And these are basically minority in Crimea. They're Muslim, and they have fears because Stalin deported them and killed them somewhere in World War I or World War II, so they don't want something like that happening again, especially with how Putin's treating Chechnya with all the insurgency there. So it's really interesting what's going to happen, but there won't be World War III. There'll be no military action. There'll just be a lot of talk, a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of let's try and seem like we're standing up. But Russia won't care, and I don't think it will stop at the Crimea. I think we'll try and take eastern cities. Donetsk, that's got a huge pro-Russian support. I mean, I just think there's not much the EU, America, NATO can do. I mean, they say about they're going to boycott the G8. Putin didn't turn up last year, so I don't think he really cares. It's unfortunate for the Ukrainian people. Well, I say that's a bit of a biased statement. The coup, as I'm sure you know, was because the Prime Minister was going to sign a deal with the EU for closer ties, and Russia basically said no, you can't do that. Russia slashed the oil price by a third for Ukraine and pledged to give it loans because its economy is in the bin, and the Prime Minister backed out of the EU deal and signed it with Russia. Timonchenko, I think it was called. No, that's the opposition leader. Sorry, it's like Y something, Yunkashenko. I'm not fluent in Ukrainian or Russian. So basically, one side wanted to get closer to the EU, the other wanted to be closer to Russia. There was mass unrest, killings, rioting, protests. The Prime Minister fled to Russia in fear of his life. I'll Google the name actually. I think it's Yunkashenko. There was Timoshenko, who the current Prime Minister, not the current Prime Minister, the one who got who had to flee to Russia. They locked her up for 7 years, so it's quite a corrupt country regardless. I really need to learn their names for future videos. Timoshenko was the one who was in jail. Viktor Yanukovych, that's the one, I'm sorry. He fled to Russia in fear of his life. So, the real question, there's a lot of background. Yanukovych, so I really can't remember the names. Yanukovych basically jailed Timoshenko because she was his main rival for 7 years. He also got poisoned and almost died. It's just quite corrupt and messed up. But now Russia has stepped in because of the EU. Because Russia doesn't want Ukraine to become part of the EU. As I said previously, Putin wants, he wants a comeback of the Soviet Union era. And of course he won't quite get that, but he wants to become a more influential country and wants to regain land. And we won't do anything, no military action, no prominent economic sanctions. I mean, what? We're not going to stop importing oil from Russia. So that's my take on it, and I think Putin's going to try and get more land. And we won't do anything.